come on in. Come on into this podcast. Open up your ears, your eyes, and your mind to possibilities. The possibilities of reaching your highest potential. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Audrey Lee. I'm the creator of Power to Shred. Power to Shred is my plant-based sport nutrition and training program that I've created for paddlers, skiers, snowboarders, all athletes. But this is the place. This is the place to learn the latest in sports science research so that you can have more energy, recover faster, have a sharper focus, and boost your immune system. It's basically where you come to be to learn to be a superstar. Balance your training, emphasizing recovery, eat real food, mostly plants, get outside and be your best. I'm here to teach you how to fuel and train for the best performance in the summer or in the winter, in the mountains or in the ocean. I'm going to be focusing on the latest evidence-based fueling and training information, research-based, factual information. I will share my favorite recipes, plant-based recipes. I will review products and interview paddleboard, ski, and snowboard athletes and coaches. So a little bit about me. Who am I? Dr. Audrey Lee. Growing up, my dream was to be a professional athlete. I danced, I swam, and I did gymnastics from age 8 through college. A mixed array of movements, but it's all movement. I always love to move. And I know all of you, for active people, we love to move. We love to be connected in our body. So dancing, swimming, gymnastics, body awareness, connection to your body, and appreciation to and for your body. Posture and alignment, these are things that I learned and they're innate now. Swimming, a love for water, moving in the water, different kinds of water, all of the different strokes and the technicality of it, which carries over into other things. I swam, I was an endurance athlete. I did all kinds of things, but I swam the 500, the 1,000, the 1650. I was also in all kinds of relays, did the IMs. I loved to swim, but due to shoulder tendonitis, I transitioned. I was given the options. You can continue swimming, you can get an operation, you can get cortisol shots, or stop swimming. So I stopped swimming and I transitioned to cycling, endurance training. So I went from indoor cycling to cycling on the road. And for those of you who have done that, there's a little transition, a little bit of a learning curve with clicking into and clicking out of your pedals. And going from a 1-hour class in a gym to being outside in the mountains, out in nature on the open road, where 1 hour is your warm-up. In 1 hour, you haven't even gotten to the destination, right? And that goes into, you'll see, I love quotes, and I'll be sharing some of my favorite quotes too, because motivation, you gotta be motivated to endure the training, to endure the challenges. So there are so many things, so much carryover from sport into life. I'm fascinated by performance, performing one's best. And so enduring time in the saddle, enduring those roads. So I went from 1-hour fitness classes to competing in centuries, 100-mile races where 5 hours or more, and you're there, and it's just you, and you're riding, and you're pedaling, and you're climbing and descending. And I learned about nutrition the hard way, through trial and error, through bonking and feeling like garbage, and knowing knowing deep inside, I know I can do better. I know I have more, but why? And starting to make those associations. That's that learning by doing. Some things would work, some things wouldn't work, and starting to make those associations. Wow, when I'm hydrated, how does that feel? When I'm nourished, when I'm energized, how does that feel? How does that translate into performance? So I'm going to cover those things. It's super awesome and amazing. So I got into road cycling while I was in Austria, Innsbruck, Austria to be exact. I went to the University of Innsbruck, Austria, studied at the Institute for Sports Science, and I got my PhD in exercise sports science. So how amazing is that? I focused on reaching highest potential, researching highest potential, where theory came to life. We'd theorize by using this type of a nutrition, using this type of a training, we could perform better. You can cover more distance. You can go faster. So I can't wait to share more of this. And then to round out my education, I got my master's degree in nutrition. What you eat and when matters. So if you haven't been paying attention to your nutrition, this is your invitation. I am personally inviting you to join me on this new journey. And what is this? The journey into knowing yourself better, to know your habits and to know how your body responds to different things, to nutrition and training. And to remember, what works for someone else might not necessarily work for you. So be the expert of yourself. Do the work. I will be sharing information every single time and also inviting you to try things out so you can see what works, what doesn't work, right? Take everything with a grain of salt, right? Literally question things because, again, what works for one person does not necessarily work for others. So with my education, exercise sports science and nutrition, I became a performance coach for Greenville Cycling, Team Roger C. Peast, Paralyzed Veterans of America Racing. Not all at the same time, but after completing school and moving on and moving into the industry. How cool and amazing to be able to help others, to lift them high, to motivate and inspire. I'm tossing my phone away so you don't hear it. To motivate and inspire others to reach their highest potential, to help people achieve their dreams, and not just any old people, athletes. So I started working with cyclists first. And the cyclists that I worked with, they were driven, they were focused, they were determined, they would do whatever it took to move to a higher level, to go faster, to beat their personal records, to be on the podium, to be the best. And it wasn't any old information, right? You're going to try something, and if it doesn't work and you don't feel good, you're not going to continue doing it, whether you are at elite level or a non-elite level. If you're not feeling good, that is a clear sign that something isn't working. And so what was really cool is I would organize training camps. In these camps, training, recovery, stretching, nutrition, and education. Because it's important to me is that when we had these camps, the athletes would come in. These are professional teams from around the country, and the athletes lived around the country. They did their own training at home in their respective locations, raced in their respective areas. But when they were representing the team for championships and those races, the team would all get flown in, travel in to meet together. We would have a team house. And I was the sport nutrition coach, performance coach, focusing on their nutrition and their recovery techniques. So I want to get a little bit more into this because this is that juicy place. Talking so much about nutrition, that delicious, juicy amazingness where all of the ingredients come together for the masterpiece so that you have your peak performance when you want it. So we'd have them all come in to the team house about a week before competition. 1, to acclimatize. 2, to just get them outside of their normal routine, because raise your hand, how many of you are competing, racing, training, and have your other life, right? You work, you're a mother, father, in a relationship, husband, wife, maybe you're going to school, you'll have all kinds of other things going on in your life. Other things that draw your energy, that draw your attention. Yes? To perform your best, we would get these athletes in and take away as many of those distractions so they can focus their undivided attention on performing their absolute best at championships, at nationals. And so my job, I like to say, I was their sport nutrition coach, but it was also a little bit like being their mom, meaning nurturing, taking care of them. And that was something that was quite foreign to a lot of these athletes. And I'd have to remind them, like, you are a professional athlete. We, your team of coaches, are here to help you, to take care of you, to do whatever we can that's in our power so that when it's time for you to race, you're doing your absolute best. And so they also had to learn to allow, like, I don't have to do these things. My job was to create menus, to go grocery shopping, to have foods and snacks and drinks prepared and ready every single day. So that's one huge component. For those of you that travel to race, you know the challenges of just traveling in and of itself. Travel is stressful. Stress affects the body negatively. I'll take that back. And this is something we'll get into in our discussions. Stress, there's different types of stressors. Some stress is actually good to enhance performance because it requires you to step up to the next level. But there's also stressors that weigh you down literally and figuratively that have a negative impact. And so we want to identify those, and I'm going like this, like there's a magnifying glass. Identify these, hone in on them, focus on them so that we can make change. To see what is happening, what habits, what routines are we doing that are not ideal. And then we learn to optimize those routines. So that would be part of what I would do. I would create these menus, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, have things available, all the different drinks, different hydration. I would be looking at observing all of the athletes' patterns. You know, I'd also ask too, what are your favorite foods? What type of foods do you like? And obviously steering them, guiding them into more nutritious, healthier choices while meeting their energy needs, while meeting their health needs, and making sure that it's delicious, presented in a way that they would be enticed, like, wow, I've never had that before. What is that? Instead of like, ew. Is that cardboard? What is it, right? Because food, nutrition is sensual. It's one of the senses. We want to engage as many of the senses as part of this experience so that it's not just, I'm just eating this so that I have calories in my body. I'm eating this so that I feel good. I'm eating this to nourish, to energize, to replenish my body. I'm eating this so that I'm fully energized and I am able to do my absolute best when I'm there on the starting line. That's what it all comes to. That when you're on the starting line, you're fully confident because you know you've prepared in all ways possible. That's the beauty of sport nutrition. And then more than just sport nutrition, performance. Are you performing at your sport? How are you performing at life? Recovery. I love recovery because it's so essential. It's something that is not as emphasized. It doesn't always have the same importance, but I am here to share with you, and in every session, share as much as I can with you about recovery training, the importance of recovery training, and the myriad types of recovery training. Consider this. The majority, everyone can go hard, everyone can push high intensity, but the best, the most aerobically trained athletes are the ones that recover quickly in between training sessions. When you can recover quickly in between training sessions, that means that you can maximize every single training session, get the most out of the training session, so that when it comes to race day, all of that you've done, all of that work accumulates to the experience so that you can perform your best. So I'll be sharing all of that. A little more detail into recovery training. Well, I'm going to get into all of these different things, but to give you a little bit of an outline of what that includes, recovery training, breath work, the importance of breath work, using the power of your breath to literally lower intensity, bring your body back into a state of homeostasis, balance, heal, restore, renew, revive, revitalize, recharge, just with the breath. And there's more. There's so much more. Recovery nutrition, we'll get into recovery nutrition, stretching, dynamic stretching, static stretching, massage, chiropractic, acupuncture, binaural beats, frequency, and all kinds of other things. So this is just a little taste. And then the other part is the nutrition itself, that I'm going to spend time to go into the different aspects of nutrition first. So I have different courses and workshops, and I find education is important, right? So that you learn and know. Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. We've all talked about them. I often hear people say, I don't eat carbs. And then I'm like, really? Well, then what is it that you eat, please? I'd like to know. Because as an athlete, if you're not eating carbs, it's not good news. So I'm going to be working on that, teaching you about carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Those are macronutrients, the terms for the macronutrients, the nutrients that we eat, that we consume, the larger amounts, bigger amounts of them. But I like to break them down even further so that people don't get stuck in these terms, because even better is vegetables, leafy greens, colorful vegetables and fruits, protein, legumes, healthy fats. And we're going to go into every single one of these. And another component of this podcast is that I will be including cooking classes and recipes, short and sweet, because we are athletes. We're active people. We're not going to be spending all day long in the kitchen. We want things easy, quick, healthy, and yum. For on the go, for at home, to help you recover faster, to help you be energized, to help you achieve your highest potential, to help you reach your goals, to help you make your dreams come true. So a little bit about my sport. I now live in Park City, Utah. It's in the mountains. I ski. I got my sport nutrition degree in Utah at the University of Utah. I fell in love with skiing, the mountains, nature. So wonderful, so amazing. This past year was one of the most incredible ski seasons ever, so far. And I always say that, so far. I skied 117 days, which is not unusual. I typically ski 117, 120, maybe a little bit more. And that's part of my little science experiment. Sport nutrition, recovery nutrition, to be able to push for 117 to 120 days without injury, to maintain performance, to maintain the love and passion and energy to give it your all, to shred the gnar. To shred hard, to recover, to feel good, and to keep doing it, and to keep doing it, and keep doing it. And I just love skiing. So I said it's one of the best years ever. So much snow, record-breaking snow, powder days of up to 23 inches of fresh snow in one day. Unbelievable. Powder snow, if you've never imagined or experienced it before, I mean, literally you would scoop it up and you could blow it. You could just blow it right out of your hands. It's so light and fluffy and wonderful. So imagine waking up every day excited, energized, and charged to get outside, to get some of it. I love, love, love skiing. And I also fell in love with paddleboarding. So after ski season, usually I'd kind of be lost, jumping up and like, what am I going to do today? I guess I can go for a hike. Don't get me wrong, I love hiking. I absolutely love hiking. Maybe I could go out and mountain bike. I love mountain biking, but I didn't have that same fire, that same passion. But I fell in love with stand-up paddleboard and stand-up paddleboard racing, to be exact. I was invited with a friend to go to an intro free class, and I went to a place. It's a little pond, a tiny little pond that going through the whole pond is about 1/3 of a mile, and it's protected by the mountains. So flat, glassy, easy. I went and did the class and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. What else can you do? And I just so happened, I also teach fitness classes. So I teach all kinds of TRX and sport-specific training, ski conditioning, paddleboard yoga, all kinds of fun stuff. So I had someone reach out to me and ask if I could sub a SUP yoga class. I'd never even experienced SUP yoga. I didn't even know about SUP at the time. I was like, what does that mean? She's like, oh, it's just yoga, but you do it on this board floating on the water. And it's like, sounds interesting. How about I take your class first and then we'll see about it. So I took her class and I was like, what? This is amazing. I love this. So I subbed her classes, ended up taking over a class. And while I was there, I would see all kinds of other things going on. I started being in that lakeside community, I should say pond side community, and seeing people paddling around and seeing different types of boards, seeing different ability levels, seeing that there was a fitness class on a paddleboard, SUP fitness. So I'd take the SUP fitness classes and do burpees and do push-ups and do core exercises on the board. And we used to do one section where we do these laying prone and paddling and popping up like you're surfing and then just wiggling around and doing 180s and 360s and just having so much fun. And then I ended up working at that paddleboard shop, and the paddleboard shop owner told everyone in the shop, I want you to do a race. So I was like, how hard could that be? I'm an athlete. And I'm laughing because all I knew was that little old pond, right? Literally, I was my little fish in the little fish tank. And I went to my first race, and that first race got out of that fish tank. I got out of that little old pond, and it was windy. It was windy AF. Well, probably not that extreme, but it was windy for me, for someone who never experienced wind before. I got out there and I was like, what is going on here? I had just learned how to do a crossbow turn the day before, practicing the little old pond. I was like, how hard can this be? Got out there, I could barely stand up. I could barely move. It was rough. It was tough. I was struggling. I was cursing. I was trying to do all that I could. And watching people that knew what they were doing, it's like, what do they know that I don't know? I need to learn this. And so after that, I was hooked. And I kept paddling. And I kept training and doing the fitness classes and doing the yoga. And I'd stay afterwards and play around in my little old pond. And then I'd venture out to the other places. And through the people there, started learning about other races. I learned about Pacific Paddle Games and Dana Point, California, which for me at the time was like the mecca of stand-up paddleboard. That it's like a child. When I grow up, I'm going to go to Dana Point and I'm going to paddle. When I grow up, I'm going to go and race Pacific Paddle Games, PPG. And so I made that a goal. 2017. It's like, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to the promised land and I will do this race. And so I trained on my own as best as I could, knowing all that I knew with my PhD in exercise sports science, a master's degree in nutrition. I created my own training plan, did my whole nutrition, and I went out there. I should also preface this, that Anthony Vela had these fantastic videos where he explained some of the things to prepare for and to be aware of before coming out there. And so I paid close attention. Beach starts. Where I live, there isn't even a beach. We don't have sand. It's dirt and mud. You can't run anywhere. So I went out there and tried on my own. I didn't know what I was doing, but I tried, so at least I had an idea. I tried, I did my best, and I actually did better than expected. It was incredibly challenging, and I learned, and I continue to learn. So fast forward, that was 2017. That's 6 years later. And now, this past season, I went out and trained with Anthony Vela, Coach Anthony Vela, and his paddling training club, Performance Paddling. I learned so much. This is the first time that I ever trained with that group for that amount of time and learned so much, where I get to see myself improving and progressing every single time. And that's what just fires me up. It's like, this is what it's all about. This is Power to Shred, like learning, experiencing, and doing, going out and racing. So I want to, since I've been out there, I've done 4 races and quite well. First race, challenging. It was my first race of the season. They all have been training year round. Hey, not bad for a first race out there. And then every single time, it's getting better and better and better. So that is a little bit of what this is all about. It's learning about sport nutrition, learning what your unique needs are and meeting those needs so that you can perform your best. You can continue to improve and progress and get better and better. I'd like to thank you all so much for your time and for your attention. This is just a little taste. The more podcasts, the more I share with you the experiences, because it's not just the science. Yes, the science is really important. It's essential and it's key. But then it's the practicality. How do you take this science? How do you take this research and apply it into your everyday life? I will be sharing that with you. My personal experience, my personal favorite recipes and creations and findings. And that's also part of what the interviews will be. I can't wait, because some of this is going to be that visiting people and we're going to go out and eat different foods, or I'll make foods and they'll sample this. And when you get the chance, you can come and join me for one of my cooking classes or workshops or a retreat or a camp. I can't wait to see you, and I can't wait for more. Reach out with any questions, comments, and I will be taking a question of the month, and I will be using that and answering your question in the beginning of our future podcast. So, signing off. Thank you all. Eat real food, mostly plants. Balance your training, emphasizing recovery. Get outside and be your best. That's Power to Shred. Thank you.